Okay, we're now going to be stepping up and looking into how we can create tables. Now, creating tables may take a few tries before you get it into your head. It does take a bit of repetition, so let's get started. Essentially, it's very simple on how to create a table, and this is creating a table of data, ones that have rows and columns. So the best way for me to explain this is just to show you. So first of all, I'm going to use the tags, which is table. As you can see, it pops up here, so I'm just going to use this. So within the table tags, what we need to do now is to create our table columns. So what we're going to be doing first is putting in our table rows. So the table rows, as I say again, it's best to show you. Those are the table rows, and we want to start with our table heads. So these are going to be like the titles of our columns. So I'm just going to put for now, let's create a table that includes people's first names, surnames, and email addresses. So first name, and then in order to make this easy, I'm going to do Control and paste a couple of times. So I'm going to include the surname here. There we go, email. So let's just save this and see what it looks like so far. As you can see, we kind of just have the three words going alongside each other. It doesn't look very special at the moment. So let's add in another row below it to include some example data. So we need to create a new row, and in here, instead of table headers, we're going to include table data. Now, of course, right now there's a lot of TR, TH, TD, a lot of things going on, and you may be tempted right now to pause the video because it's confusing. Stick with me, and I honestly, by the end of this lecture, you will understand what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to put John as my first name, Harper as last name, john.harper at john.john, which is not my real email address. So let's give that a try now. Perfect. As you can see, we now have our table. So this is a row. Those are things that go along horizontally. What goes along vertically, I would describe as a column. So we can add as many rows as we want now, but keep in mind that this whole thing is a table. The top one here that kind of looks like titles, that is the table header, and then we just have our table data. So for fun, let's just add another row. So keep in mind for each of the rows we have to use those in separate tags. So table row and then table data. So let's create some more table data here. Let's add my good friend Hon Japa, and he likes to keep it quite simple. h.p at html.html. Again, not a real email address. So we refresh. There we go, voila. So as you can see, we can add as many rows as we want. What I could do to make things just very quickly, I can just add that numerous times. Oops. Give space in between those. So now you'll see, although the data has been replicated, I don't want to take ages just filling it out, you can see that we can add more and more rows as we go along. So what's really important to remember here is that in order to, let me just remove some of these. In order to create a table, the first thing we want to do is use the table tags. Now as soon as we've created the table tags, that's when we want to start adding our rows. Those are the horizontal parts of the table. So we create our table and then we want to add each of these rows. Now if we want to have a header which has like the names of the columns, then we should add a table header at the top, which is TH, and those go within the table row. If we want to simply add normal text, normal data into the row, within the TR tags we just add TD. So we have table and TR. Those are the two most important things to keep in your mind. You create a table and then you create the rows. Then within the rows you create the data, which is TD, or a table header. So there are 4 tags to remember here. Table, TR, which stands for table row, TH, which stands for table header, and TD, which stands for table data. What I would recommend you do is you note those down somewhere in your notes, and you give this a try. It's so important with tables to just right now after the lecture, just to give it a go, creating table, tr, th, and td, because it's at this point that some people might get a bit frustrated because it does take a few times. So I highly recommend, if you can really push through this part, and you can start adding table rows and table headers and table data, you're doing really well. So after this lecture, try going away and creating a few tables yourself and see how it goes. If you're looking for an extra challenge, try adding some links into your table data, and see how that goes. Okay, best of luck, and see you in the next lecture.